Sure.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Business Made Easy show. I'm your host Fiona Hall, and my co-host Liz Fry is sitting over here on my screen. I don't know where she is on yours. And today we have our special guest, Mr. Matt Jull from My Business People, and he's going to be talking to us about Cashflow. And so I'll get into a bit of an intro about him a little bit further on the show. So the way the show is going to work today is I'm going to do a bit of an intro and set the scene so you know about the Business Made Easy show and what we're here for. Then I'm going to give you my little nugget of wisdom from a systems perspective, because I'm the how-to lady, figuring out how to do stuff. And then Liz is going to introduce herself, and she's going to give you a little nugget of wisdom from her connector mindset that she has. She's very amazing at doing connections with people. And then I'll introduce Matt, and then we'll lead into our guest expert, Matt, and talking about cash flow tips for your business. So, to begin with, the Business Made Easy show. So, Liz and I started the show back in February of this year. So we've been doing this for a wee while now, and the goal of the show was to create more freedom for ourselves and our businesses. And as a business owner, we're often, that's one of the leading things I think over the years and the conversations I've had with people is they wanted some more freedom in their lives, and that's one of the big things for them starting their own business. So what Liz and I figured was that with our businesses, there's often all these gaps in our knowledge about how to do stuff, right? We come in and we love what we do, and we're either selling a set of products or a service based on something we're quite passionate about, and we probably have a fair bit of knowledge about. But saying that, there's a whole bunch of stuff we don't know about, and so that's what these guests are here to help us with, to help us fill in those gaps and give us some practical, easy things we can do in our businesses to make business easier, because it should be fun and it should be easy. My whole philosophy is if it's hard, then I'm doing it wrong, and some other clever bugger has probably figured it out, and I'm going to go find out who that is and learn that, or pay them some good money to make it happen for me if I don't need to learn it. So for those of you who aren't in our Business Made Easy group, I'll make sure the link's put in the replay, but do come and join the Business Made Easy community Facebook group. So I'm building a tribe there, and I've also got a special announcement about that. On Fridays, I'm going to be doing a walk and talk business brainstorm. So part of it's really selfish. I need to get my ass out of my office and walk. I find I get some of the best ideas for my business when I'm walking and talking with people who have the same passion about business that I do. So I thought, why not walk and talk business? It's an hour or slightly less depending on the weather, but I go out on a raincoat. I don't really care if it's raining, I still get out there. This week on Friday we're meeting at Cornwall Park, so if you are keen to come and walk and talk business, contact me later and we can organise giving you the details about how to join us. So I'm going to hop into my little nugget now. So my nugget of wisdom today is about work hours and being really honest with yourself. So what I noticed with a lot of clients over the years is they're overwhelmed and they're overworked. And it's because what I call this thing called time creep. They're not actually being kind of strict with themselves about when they're working and when they're not working. And you get quite drained. Like even if you really love what you do, you still need time out to spend time with your family and your friends, and to eat well and to exercise and to socialise and to do those things that make you the best possible you. So one of the first things I ask my clients is, how many hours are you actually working each day, each week in your business? And a lot of the time people can't answer that question very well. They think, I kind of start at about 9 and finish at 5, but I have dinner and then I go back after dinner and I'll work a few more hours, and then, probably about 11 o'clock I put my phone down. And so that time just creeps out and out and out. And even though they think, I'm just checking Facebook, you are also checking your pages and all sorts of bits and pieces. And there's all these little bits of work creeping into time. So the best way to start managing that is to actually block the hours you're working each day into your calendar. So, for example, if you are working 9 to 5 on a Monday, schedule that in, block that in, set it as an appointment, but make sure you set it as you're being available so you can book other appointments around there. color code that so you can actually see, so here's my chunk of time during the day that I'm actually, theoretically working, whether you are or not. You'll find that as you go on. But really get yourself a visual clue about how many hours you're working. And then, so that's your default, what you plan to work. Then check back in at the end of the week and go, actually, I went and worked from 7 till 9 on that night, or I started early and went to a breakfast meeting, and actually it was about 7 o'clock, really, if I consider I had to hop in the car and get there. So really start tracking yourself about the time you're spending in work mode. So that's my top tip. So that time creep, what happens with the time creep is that you start to get, like, here's some examples from my own life. And if I see some smirks and laughs, I know that there's people out there doing the same thing. Checking emails, business emails while you're eating your breakfast. Pushing the grocery cart around the supermarket, checking your business emails. Helping your kids with the homework, checking stuff. What are you doing and not doing at the same time? Are you really being efficient? Because I know I'm not particularly, and I'm more likely to make mistakes and maybe send not enough information or the wrong information. So, yeah, take notice for yourself what you're doing around your time. Because we all know, I don't have to tell you this, that when you focus on one task at a time, you get it done a hell of a lot faster. And it's also, it takes the stress off you, because you end up with this long-term stress just sitting underneath if you're constantly in work mode and not giving yourself a break. And it's not a bad thing to give yourself a break. It's a good thing to give yourself a bit of time to recharge and refocus. So that's my nugget for today. And I'm going to pass over to the lovely Liz Fry, and she's going to give us a bit about her business and her golden nugget for you guys today. Liz.
Thanks, Fiona. And yes, totally guilty of that work creep thing going on. Yeah, so easy, just as you say, just something comes up on your phone and then you check something else. So yeah, great tips there. So yeah, I'm Liz Fry of lizfry.com. And yeah, I really help people to find clarity and direction in their business and in their lives. So as we all know, as small business owners, it can be very hard trying to juggle everything, as Fiona says, and sometimes we do just have to bring that extra person or extra people into the work that we're doing or into our lives to really help us with that. And again, either to help us learn how to do it ourselves, or yeah, as you say, Fiona, yeah, bringing in the experts to take it on for us so that we can concentrate on what we're good at. So yes, I do connect people. I have my network called Fuse Auckland, and we meet monthly. We've got a meeting next Tuesday evening, so do come and join us in our Facebook group. Debbie will be talking about emotional intelligence, and again, how life and business really is very much part of the whole picture as a small business owner, and yeah, a lot of the juggle that comes with it. So my top tip today, and it is about connecting, and it's about the follow up afterwards with people. I have mentioned this before, but I do think it's really important. If you do get a referral, if you do get a mention from somebody, or if you get a tag on Facebook, or someone's bringing you in on something, or in a newsletter, it's just that simple word, thank you, is so important. And whether you have a paid system for referrals or if it's just done from the heart, yeah, just a mention and a thank you. And I just want to take this opportunity, Fiona, to say thank you, as this is my last show, of this opportunity for us to work together. Probably if I look back at the recordings back in February to how we're doing now, would be quite a difference. And I remember one show, someone sending me a message halfway through saying, Lizzie, you actually going to say anything? So yeah, it's just been amazing. And yeah, for your time, for your trust, your ideas and your knowledge, it's been a great journey to share with you. And I'm sure our paths will cross again in the future. So yeah, thank you very much, Fiona.
Thanks for taking up the gauntlet and joining me on the show, Liz. It's been great to have that buddy when the technical issues have been frustrating as hell. Great to have your calm influence in here. Thanks. Right, now I'm going to hop over to an introduction to Matt Jull. So I met Matt back in 2003 when I was first starting out in business, and we were members of a networking group. Do you remember that, Matt? We met for a coffee to get to know each other's businesses, because that's part of what you did. It was part of the rules of engagement of being in that networking group. And I came away from that meeting and doubled my hourly rate and got the work. So Matt's always been that man. I was like, when I think of money and I think of sorting yourself out and confidence as well, I always think of Matt. And I watched one of his clients, build their business up to this point that they were able to sell it to someone else. And that always really impressed me. It's like, there's lots of business coaches and lots of people doing things out there, but I've seen Matt get results. And results is what counts in the world of business coaching, business mentoring. So Matt calls himself a business mentor, and I would say that he is more of a mentor than what you'd say as a coach, because Matt, he genuinely cares about people and gets to know the person behind the business rather than just, the completely focusing on the business. He founded My Business People in 2009, and it's really growing, and he's doing things differently. He's really focusing on business education and building mastermind programs for people to share knowledge, because he recognises that there's lots of skillful people out there, and he likes to help. He's kind of scaffolded and built a program together for those people to learn and grow their businesses. So according to LinkedIn, Matt's program offers its members access to the sharpest business minds in the country through live events, hands-on support, step-by-step training videos, and unique business templates. And members rapidly transform their business and achieve record growth and profit. He also offers a little bit on the side still, I think, some one-on-one mentoring for clients who are ready to need that extra help. And he's also published a great book called Profit Secrets Revealed. I think, is that still available through Amazon, Matt?
Yeah, or you can buy it directly as well buy it locally and only pay $4 for postage.
Oh, even better. We'll make sure that. Yeah, I'll make sure I pop that link in the show notes for later on so people can grab that. So welcome, Matt. It's great to have you on the show. And I'm really excited because I know that you're really passionate about this topic and people are going to get a shitload. Just let it warning you, if Liz and I turn to the side, it's because we're taking notes, because we do that, because we're learners. So welcome, Matt Jull.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fiona. I was thinking back to when we first met myself, actually. So interesting that you have recollections of that. And I was thinking, when was that? And you're right, 2003. And in fact, I think I had just sold my own business back then.
Yeah.
What was that? June 2003 I sold that. So it must have been a little bit after that.
Yeah, it was September 2003 because I'm coming up, 13 years in business this month.
Right. Yeah, so you would know a little bit of my journey back then, but for the audience, why don't we start there? So I come from a trade background. I served an apprenticeship inside the construction industry beginning in the late 80s. So I think it was 87 when I started my apprenticeship, and terrible time to start an apprenticeship when we just have the massive share market crash. And while we're building big buildings, people are falling off them for losing all their shares. But, sorry, black humour. So I spent a number of years in the construction industry, and I've got to be perfectly honest with you, I really didn't enjoy it that much. I didn't feel all that challenged, and the challenge that I chose to uptake was becoming a business owner, to challenge myself as well. And I started a business and did okay, and so on and so forth in the journey. But long story short, I was really always trying to find my exit from the construction industry. Trying to leave the past behind. In this day and age, we're allowed to transform ourselves in our careers, where our parents perhaps weren't allowed to, even though my father had recreated himself several times, so quite unique for his generation. But I really just wanted to exit the trades more than anything. And so in June '98, I started a tile company. I'd never tiled before in my life. I did a quick few lessons with a mate. 3 weeks later, ran some ads and called myself a tiler, and started. And I was in business. How do most businesses in New Zealand start? It's it's pretty much the same way.
Entrepreneurial seizure, mate. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Michael Gerber says from the E-Myth, might have an entrepreneurial seizure. I can do that myself.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, there was someone that wanted to buy your skill as well, or your product, and that's how most businesses start, at least here in New Zealand. They're not that intentional, and perhaps because of the you know, the number 8 philosophy, or the way that Kiwis are as well. So for those who are not Kiwis, when I say number 8, I mean number 8 wire. It's a fencing. Anyway, it's all to do with our farm background. Yeah, Kiwis always go back to sheep paddocks, don't we? I've really digressed from what I was saying now. I've lost track. Thanks, Fiona.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, no worries. You know, one of the things as well is we're really undercapitalised as a nation, our small businesses. And if you look at the statistics on our businesses here in New Zealand, 93%, 93 or 97, I think it's 93% of all New Zealand businesses employ less than 20 people. And of that 93%, 97% employ nobody. In other words, we're a self-employed nation.
Yeah.
And look at the number of contractors that are out there.
Yeah.
Even the, you know, what once was considered the corporate world, I don't even know that even exists anymore, because they're all these self-employed people working for one big company that has no employees any longer. You know, and interestingly as well, that was probably a model that I used with the tile company. When I started that business, I predominantly had contractors working for me. When I finished the business, I think I had, 3 or 4 staff on payroll. The rest were contractors. It was a team of 14 in total.
Yeah.
You know, and pretty much all full time. Even the contractors, we did things with them that they would drop their tools on another building site and come and work for us because they loved working with us. And one of the key things was we just paid them on time. You know, every 7 days they knew that they would get a payment. And see, cash flow is so important to everyday business because we're undercapitalised.
Yeah.
New Zealand. And now, you know, that business, as you know, Fiona, I sold it 2000. So I started it actually in June '98 with a 5-year goal, and that was to grow the business. This was my business plan. Right. Yeah. For any of you who have taken the time to sit down and write a business plan, you have taken too fucking long. Yeah. Sorry about the F-bomb, but that's the truth, right? Yeah. Don't worry about a business plan. Just write a few goals around what you're going to achieve. So my goals were start the business, grow the business, employ a GM, sell the business, and I gave myself 5 years to do it. June '98, I started it. June 2003, exactly 5 years to the month, it was sold. It went unconditional. So very, very powerful if you start out with the right intent and then along the journey find someone to mentor you along the way, and that's what I did. And that's why I believe the only reason I really did achieve what I achieved in that business. Because as a tradesman, no one had taught me how to run a business.
Yeah.
I'll let that sink in, right? Mm. Even in the professions, my wife's an accountant. No one's taught her how to run a business. Even though she's at the cutting edge of it, supposedly, our number one advisor in business is often our accountant who we turn to.
Yeah.
And so there's someone in the know, and no one's taught her how to run a business. You know, where do you learn this stuff? You learn it from a mentor. Yeah. You learn it from someone who's gone ahead of you. Now, I've mentored my clients to over $380 million worth of cash flow. It's huge. You know, since 2003, when Fiona first met me, that's when I first started my mentoring journey. I've done a few other things in the interim as well, you know, gone off and franchised off a couple of businesses and had a bit of fun and, you know, other stuff. Just dabbled. Hey, I completed the projects.
Yeah.
You know, we launched the master franchise for Skids, which is a big nationwide and international organisation now, and the operation franchise for Jet Cleaning, which is now a nationwide cleaning service as well, specialising in hospitality. Right, so if you haven't heard of them, it's because they don't do houses like Green Acres and those sorts of guys. You know, they're full on hospitality, bars, restaurants, specialist cleaning, where the dirt really is.
Oh,
so you would be horrified if you went in some of those places.
I can imagine.
Behind, yeah. So they need professional teams to help them keep on top of their grading, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done a few things, but I guess the purpose for me being on this video really is to talk about cash flow, isn't it?
So cash flow is your passion, right? That's the thing that you really focus on a lot, right?
Yeah, I've recently actually started some mastermind groups specializing in me just doing some small group mentoring of people that are in small business that want to boost their cash flow. So, we've got all sorts of different industries in those groups, mechanics, a motelier, gorgeous lady. She's all the way down in Clutha, on the Clutha River in a tiny little town of 600 people called Ruxenburg, if you've ever.
Yeah, I do know Ruxenburg.
Yeah,
got a friend that lives there.
Oh, is that right. So, and an online jeweler, baby clothes, baby equipment, or, just a wide range of industries. It really doesn't matter. The principles still apply.
Yeah.
And so, I was thinking about what should I talk to you guys about today. And I thought, well, why don't we start with some of the killers? Why don't we start with some of the stuff that kills cash flow?
Yeah.
All right. Can I just throw it out there to you, Fiona and Liz? What do you think is the number one killer of cash flow?
Not being paid on time.
Not being paid on time. Awesome. What about you, Liz? What do you reckon?
Discounting.
You've read my book. Not being paid on time is absolutely vital. Now, I'm going to link that because that's at the end of the sales chain, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to link that right back to the beginning. That's actually how we go about positioning people. How you are going to buy from me, how you are going to pay the bill, so on, Make it easy for people to buy from you too. I remember when we had the tile company, I was the only tiler in the whole of Auckland, I don't know, the whole of the country probably, that at the time, we trailblazed some stuff, right? We were the only ones taking credit cards, right? Now, people say to me, but you lose margin. Well, for starters, we were the most expensive in the market by the time I finished that business anyway, so it really didn't matter. 3% off the sale, 2%, whatever it was. And we even took Amex. So many people resist Amex. It's, seriously, they're a pain in the neck to apply for. But once you've applied and gone through the process, the number of people that want to use Amex just for the points, and it's a conversion strategy as well. And so many customers come and buy from us just because we took Amex and they wanted the air points. They didn't even quibble over the price, even though they'd gone and got 3 other quotes. They saw that they could get air points as well. They had the cash. They'd say to me, I'll just transfer the money. It'll be 10 grand, something like that. I'll just transfer the money and then I'll pay. Here's my credit card details. Bang, And I often say to people, and especially when they quibble about Amex, right? There's an impression in the marketplace. People have that Amex is more expensive than the other credit cards. I actually think they're about the same. But I say this, right? What would you prefer? The 95 bucks today or $100 in 3 months' time?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Isn't it? Yeah. Imagine having to chase. If that $100 had cost you $70 and only 30 of it was your gross profit margin, right? The cost of the materials and the labor and all that was 70% of it. What's that worth in 3 months' time? It's not worth anything. Yeah. And if your margin is only 30%, you've had to get a debt collector engaged and they want 20% of it, you're really screwed, aren't you? So really the positioning of how people are going to pay you starts at the beginning of the sale.
So the expectation setting for this is how we do business, this is how we engage, and setting the whole scene so it's all there.
Yeah, and make it easy for people to buy from you too. Make it easy for them to pay. And that's why I'm a big advocate of taking credit cards. All honesty, and I know people say things like, "Oh, should I accept diners?" And there's because so many of us are in the online world now as well, diners or JB or whatever, or Discovery or whatever. I don't care what colour your money is. right? Just make it easy for the customer to buy from you. That's really the point. Here in New Zealand, predominantly MasterCard, Visa, and Amex.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with international, of course you want to take Discovery if you can, right? And if you're using an international gateway like Stripe or PayPal, yeah, not a big fan, I must admit. They're a pain to deal with.
Yeah.
The support's not great. eWay are great, great support from those guys. And integrating your other credit facilities like Amex or, Discovery or whatever, not a big deal. Not a big deal. You've just got to go and jump through the hoops of proving that you're a legitimate business. That's the only deal.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's that one. Put that one to rest, right? Getting paid is not actually at this end of the transaction. Getting paid starts at the beginning of the transaction.
Yeah, good point.
So there's 3 steps to creating cash flow. First thing is what I call cash, right? That's step 1. Step 2 is converting, and step 3 is collecting, right? Now, if you're having issues at step 3, then, and it's a repeat thing, it may be that you're fishing in the wrong pond. People are actually bad payers anyway. So, you got to move on from that. So go and revisit who you're converting. So go to step 2. Don't worry about trying to always focus on step 3, trying to get the cash off them. Go to step 2, convert, and look at your target audience. Who are you targeting? And target better quality people. That will take care of step 3, the collection, not a problem, right?
Yeah.
Step 1, the cash side, that's all about your pricing. And this is where Liz was right? Pricing and discounting, all of that stuff, absolutely vital. And in my mind, discounting is the number 1 killer of cash flow.
So would you add value rather than discount?
Okay, so that's a good question.
Because
I'm going to take you on my journey and my agenda today, right?
Cool.
Okay, and we will get to answer that in a roundabout way, right? To me, add value is actually an offer. It's part of the converting.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're in the marketplace and you're looking to say, I don't know, you're looking to say build your database, your list up. And so you've gone to the market with a lead magnet, right? The 3 best types of special offers are the free is one. So that's ideally where you go with a lead magnet, something free, ebook, checklist, swipe file, whatever. The other is add value, right? These are your 3 different types of offers. And the 3rd one is actually discounting. All right. Of all 3 of those, in terms of converting, the most effective, the most powerful is actually free. Rather than adding value, give them something extra for free. Even if it's going the extra mile, right? Add something to what you already do. One of the things in the mentoring world, right? It can be quite intense. If I go in one-on-one with clients, I also do a bit of group with the mastermind groups as well. And it keeps me really honed and sharp and aligned with where business is currently, rather than being hypothetical or any of that. You've got to be in the business world to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And one of the big things as an add value for me, and this is what I found in my industry, is support. Massive.
Yeah.
I don't do a 9 to 5 support at all, right? 5 days a week. If you are one of my clients one-to-one, for example, and my clients spend typically 30,000+ with me for one-to-one mentoring, they get my phone number, obviously, and they can call me at any time, day or night, even in the weekends, because business happens all the time, right? So if they need someone to chew the fat with, blow an idea past, even shout about a big win, they need to be able to do it right now. So all of them know they can call me at any time. Now, obviously, I can't be contacted all the time, so I just have a little rule with that, and that's just if you call me, obviously your name's going to come up. I'm going to see it on my ID, and if it's urgent, leave a message. then I know it's urgent and I've got to get back to you as soon as I possibly can, right? If I see that you haven't left a message and it's a Sunday or something like that, I know it's actually not urgent, you probably pocket dialed me, and I'll call you on Monday. I'll call you when I'm ready, right? So that's just kind of the rule, but that is actually about the support. That's the value add, all right? Getting back to discounting, all right? This is the number one cash flow killer. And why do people discount? I think when we're starting out and no one's taught us about business, we might be looking at our marketplace and going, well, what value am I? How do I value myself? How do I value my product? What's my competition doing? What are other people in business doing? There's a really successful business over there. It's called a retailer and it's sitting in a big shed, right? Whether it's a supermarket or, we're hugely influenced by how we shop. How we run our businesses influences us in how we shop, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've said it around the wrong way, but you know what I mean. Big retailers influence how we run our businesses, right? Even at a subconscious level. And if you look at the big retailers, what are they doing? The vast majority of them are doing some form of discounting, loss leaders, and so on and so forth. Look, that's appropriate to their industry. Look at the fashion industry, for example, right? Every time there's a seasonal change, they've got to dump all the stock that they cannot sell if it's winter, right? And they're still trying to sell shorts and t-shirts. They're screwed. So they've got to knock the socks off that and sell it as fast as possible. So that's discount at the end of the season. So they're prepped and ready for the new season with the new range. Because they can't have the other stock sitting around. That's not a strategy that's going to apply to a builder or to a painter or a mechanic or a consultant or a motelier or anything. So why do we discount? Because we are influenced as shoppers ourselves that maybe we should discount to get the business. Bullshit. It's not why we should do it.
Yeah.
Right? And if you do it, what you're effectively doing, and especially if you're a very small business, say a consultant, where you're just selling your time.
Yeah.
Right? Or you're a tradesman, and once again, you're selling your time. If you're discounting, you are dishonoring yourself for one thing, so get over it. I'm talking to one client this morning and on the mastermind call, and he's a Samoan guy. As you know, I'm part of the Samoan community as well. My wife is Samoan. Fiona, you know that. And so I love having a laugh with these guys. I love them to bits, right? Also, where's your polos? Did you leave them at home? He's talking about not putting his prices up high enough, so I'm telling him maybe lift the balls at home. But what happens when you're discounting is you're giving away your money.
Yeah.
All right. So come back to the $100 item again. Where's something here I've got, right? I'll get a box for that because that looks odd, right? A printing cartridge, right? $100. Now, if that cost you from the wholesaler and you're the retailer, if that cost you $70, that means 30 is yours, or 30%, right? Now, if you give a discount of even 10% of that, what have you effectively done? You've given away $10, right? But actually what you've done is you've given away 33% of your money, not 10%. You're given 10% off the price, but you only had $30 tied up in it.
Yeah.
So by giving away 10%, you've given away a third of it. So you're killing yourself, killing your cash flow. It's not healthy, right? And you don't need to do it either because you're not one of the big wholesale companies that, that needs to turn all their stock every season so that they have, we're coming into the summer season now. They can't sell the heavy woolen jackets and sweatshirts and long pants anymore. They need mini skirts and shorts and t-shirts and singlets and things. Otherwise, their customers aren't going to come and shop from them. So that's why these sales happen. Not because they need the money necessarily, They need the stock so they can make a profit out of the next season.
Yeah.
They need the space and they need the money freed up from what they've got tied up in stock right now. Making a bit of sense?
Yeah.
So now let's talk about what happens if you put your prices up, right? So now what about the same printing cartridge? Let's use the 10% rule again and say, well, That's still costing me $70. Now I put the price up 10%, right? So now I'm selling it for $110. I'm now making 40 instead of 30. What am I really making percentage-wise? Not 10%. I'm actually making 25% more than what I was making before. That's really, really powerful when you think of it that way.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
It is. I love that when I read it in your book. It made sense because me and numbers, I'd get.
Yeah.
Never been my strength. You, Liz?
I'm a high school dropout. I don't even have any real qualifications in terms of formal education. And if I can do this stuff, anyone can do this stuff. I'm a painter and decorator, for bloody hell's sake. You guys can do this too. It's not rocket science.
No, it's great.
It's a bit of confidence, yes. It's a bit of knowledge, yes. But what I found is where I got so much of my confidence as well was also the fact that I engaged with a mentor all those years ago, and they taught me so much, and my confidence incrementally went up and up and up and up and up, and it still goes up even today. Yeah,
always learning, Matt?
Oh yeah, always learning, but always pushing the boundaries a bit more.
I'm getting that impression.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love it. I really do. There's nothing more that I love than seeing my clients get a return on their investment with me. That's actually my biggest motivator. Yes, I'm a little bit financially motivated. I do enjoy money. I enjoy numbers and all that sort of stuff. My big thing in life, I'm actually a real family guy, right? I don't like going out. I'm a homebod. You can see right behind me, I've got the game centre all set up with the kids. And so my office is the games room. So, when they are not studying or not at school, all that life is going on behind me. I've got 4 boys. And, these are my important things. This is the stuff that's really important to me. We've got a lovely home and all that, I love my garden. I'm looking out at it right now, barbecue over there. I'm looking forward to summer. But my big motivator in what I do is actually seeing other people get a result. Everyone who works with me must get a return on investment. Must. And that's a big kick for me as well, because I love their stories. Oh God, what are some stories I can share with you?
Well, Jane was how I met you. We were all in the same B&I group.
Yeah, look, I remember challenging Jane one time. Her average dollar sale went from, she was a commercial interior designer, awesome lady, absolutely fantastic lady. She now living over in
Brisbane.
She was up in Noosa for a while there, and I continued to mentor her on her business up there, Hotspot, which is a more residential focused business now. But back in the day, it was commercial interior design, and that business today is still incredibly well. It's actually growing even more under Lizzie's. Her employee brought it off her and has grown it even further. Really amazing business lady. But yeah, Jane. I remember. Jane still tells a story and laughs about it. It must have been a confidence thing. When she first started with me, she was dealing with what she called the rats and mice, and not targeting properly and not dealing with customers that she really wanted to deal with. And that's an important thing. And I think it's even more important to a woman than it is to a man, right? Because you get so more emotionally engaged in the projects you're dealing with and the people that you're doing it for. And that's an absolutely beautiful thing that us men miss out on, right? This is the brain. I think you have
an element of that, Matt. Definitely.
Well,
you must be in touch with your feminine side.
Because I've worked with so many women as well, I take inspiration from you guys as well, because there's that emotional connection that you guys bring to the party, and trying to push my boundaries and emotionally engage with my clientele as well. That helps me get more satisfaction out of what I do and keep me going. Yeah, I've been doing this 13 years now, and I'm still loving it. I've never ever been in one industry this long, ever, and loved it so much. Are you getting the impression I can talk the kind of stop this thing?
I can't believe I said earlier, I talked about how I can never get a word in edgeways. And here I am on my last show not saying anything.
Have you just met Fiona's match?
I was taking comfort in the fact that Fiona couldn't get many words in either, so that's all.
So I'll get off this call and I'll go back to sleep. It's all right.
We just press the on button for a while.
Yeah.
Give us some more tips, Matt.
I can entertain myself later. So Jane's story, she went from an average dollar sale by targeting the right clientele from $8,000 was her average fee to over $30,000 was her average fee. And that
was way back in, 2004, 2005 then, you know?
Yeah, so what's the equivalent sum to that now? Got to double it.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, this, but I mean, I got story after story. There's Chris and Barb, their building business. You know, they'd never turned over more than $500,000 when I met them. Now, you know, for a builder to not do more than $500,000, that's actually quite unheard of, right? But now they do over $2.5 million, and profitably so.
Yeah,
right?
Getting profit with builders, eh?
Yeah. And so many builders, you'd be surprised out there. They go out of business. They think often because of cash flow, but they actually go out of business because their margins are so low.
Yeah.
And then the cash flow dries up because they're still paying bills from 6 months ago, right? And you know, that's a really tough industry, and you've got to know your staff to keep on point with that industry. And one of the biggest things is getting your pricing right.
Yeah,
you got to have a sales funnel. The sale process in that industry alone, if it's done well, includes over 170 steps just to get from concept all the way through to contract, right? And everything, the design, the council, everything all the way through, getting all the pricing right for a fixed price, over 170 steps in the sales process. You really got to know your stuff.
Yes,
right? And what you know, I'm going to get too sidetracked if I go down that one, right? So let's pick another one. An upholsterer, right? Greg, so mentored him last year. Now, look, Greg had never run a business before. He brought the business doing just over 300K in turnover. By the end of the year, we'd done just shy of $1 million, right? And more profitable than he phoned me the other day and goes, Matt, I've just got my financials back from the accountant. And, you know, I challenged him once again on his pricing of his materials. He was only putting 10, 15% on and thinking that's a margin. Now, that's another thing. Markup is not margin. They're two completely different things, right? They do not. If you say to me, oh, my margin is 30%, but you're actually only marking up 30%, you've actually only got a 20-something% margin. All right? So anyway, that's by the by and by. The conversation I had with Greg was what happens, some of the materials he buys, you know, we're talking fabrics for the upholstery on these yachts, $400 or $500 a metre, right? So they're not cheap, and he might be doing 50 to 100 meters.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I said, well, what happens if that you stuff up that job and you have to replace all those materials? And he's only putting 10 to 15% on. Where's the money to the buffer for you if you stuff up? And so anyway, he phoned me the other day. It was about 3 weeks ago. I got a phone call from him out of the blue. Matt, I just got my financials back. My GP on materials is 71%. Yes. It does work. People listen and they apply and they get results, and then I'm happy because I got the result, or they got the result that they were needing, right?
What did you know about Cashflow when you started out?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. No one taught
What was your
stuff.
What was your first lesson on Cashflow? Was it making a mistake, or was it from your mentor?
It was probably, it was, look, I remember it could have been a lot of things. And I'm talking, this is back in the painting business, back in the early 90s, right? Look, we didn't even have computers back then, email or anything like that, you know, big splurge on a fax machine just to be able to fax out quotes. And I think we spent $2,000 on that damn thing, let alone, you know, the first quote I got for an accounting system and a computer, single computer, no, we didn't even have internet in those days, there was no such thing, was over $10,000, just for a huppery old desktop computer with an accounting system on it that I probably wouldn't ever have conquered, knowing how to use, right? Hence, I didn't buy the damn thing. You know, and thank God for things like Xero too. You know, hasn't that made our lives so much easier? You know, Anyway.
So Cashflow, what was the first thing
I would, thinking back in the day when I was very young, starting out as a young tradie, it would have been getting the pricing all wrong, not knowing how to price it properly, not knowing anything about margins and markup or anything like that. It was actually a few years before my dad took me aside and said, "Has anyone taught you about margins?" No. Oh God. Okay, here's the formula, son. Sit down with me, and he wrote it down on one of those little square, not a post-it, but you know, the little notepad thing.
Yeah.
Right. He wrote it down on that, and I can still even remember his handwriting on it and everything. My dad passed away a few years ago, and you know, but that was actually before I invested in a mentor. He was the first one who sat me down.
Yeah.
With me, and it helped me so much to make sure I started getting my pricing on the right track.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I thought it was probably a problem with collecting the money, but people pay eventually, right? Even if it is 90 days later. And in the construction industry, that's some of the worst. They're absolute people to deal with, right? And a lot of them, and look, a lot of them are employees. They really don't care that you've put your balls on the line, your family home, and everything's on the line, and so on. You know, and I'm talking, you know, they're nice people, I'm sure, but you know, some of in the bigger construction companies that you deal with, they really don't care if you don't get paid. It's not their job to care, and you get a sense of that because of the way they talk to you. Right. Anyway, that's just my personal experience coming out there. Hope there's no QSs on this call. One of these surveyors going, stop letting out our secrets, all right? But
pricing properly was one of the key things that you learnt. And what would you say to people like listening in this call going about pricing properly? Go read the section in your book around margins and look at that, do you think? Or
Yeah. Actually, I've got a copy right here. Right, there is a chapter in there, and it's amazing. You know, a cousin of mine, he read this, and he's chapter 4, markup versus margins. Maybe you should start with chapter 4 rather than start with chapter 2. Starts with the margins, right? Chapter 1's an intro more than anything. But you know, he said to me, and he's been in business over 20 years himself, very successful, multi-million-dollar business. You know, even now to the point that they've actually engaged a professional director to help mentor them as well. So, you know, it's a large going concern. No one had ever taught him about the difference between markup and margin. You know, these are just, you know, and there's so much money that passes through that business, it's not funny.
So much money it's being lost, right? Yeah,
and he's from the trades as well, once again, like myself. So yeah.
Another question for you. What? Oh, sorry, Liz, you go.
So if people watching this were to implement one thing straight away today, what would be the one thing that you say that we could just implement into our businesses straight away?
Yeah, okay. Let's just say, let's stop discounting. That's the first thing. All right, that was a big part of the topic. But look, put your prices up, even if it's just a little bit in one area, right? And test it, see what the customer's reaction is, right? Ray, who I sat with last week, and so he's on our mastermind class, which is the Cashflow mastermind. Right. Last week we went through some pricing around just his markup on parts. He was nowhere near where he should be, and so he just put it up 5%. And I spoke to him today on the call this morning and said, has there been any customer complaints? No. Has there been any customers questioning your price? No. You know, and you know, so today what's he doing? He's putting his labour rate up. He's decided to do that himself. So put your prices up, test and measure, give it a bit of a go. Zig Ziglar, I'm pretty sure it was Zig Ziglar said this, right? The late Zig Ziglar said, money is an idea backed by confidence. So by putting it up just a little bit, your confidence will grow immeasurably with that, and then put it up a little bit again, and then a little bit again. Just grow your confidence with it, right? Start charging what you're worth.
Yeah.
And would you recommend to notify existing customers of that, so that the parts are going up 5% or labour's going up?
Good question. Great question. Yes, you can, but what I would recommend, and what most people I advise do, is start with the new customers first and test and measure whether or not there was any resistance, because you've got to prove to yourself first that it's not a big scary thing. Okay, so if new customers accept the price, then the likelihood of old customers accepting, and you can explain those things away. You know, I remember, back when we had those massive price hikes in petrol, that was a great excuse. What we were paying $2.20 or something like that in 2008, 2009. That was a great excuse to put all our rates up, where we all emailed out or sent a letter saying, price of diesel, price of petrol's gone up, your price has gone up too. And everyone back then was running scared anyway because of the GFC and so on. But the amazing thing about the GFC was the amazing clean out that we all had to have as well. First place we went, now this was a jet cleaning, we went in there, and Mike won't mind me sharing this. Mike's a great mate of mine now. But when we first went in, Mike had been in the cleaning industry over 20 years, and no one had ever taught him about margins. He knew what a margin was, but no one had ever said to him, and as I said, show me your margin report. And no one had ever run it, right? So they ran a margin report on every single site that they worked on. At that time, was over 160 different sites that they were sending cleaners into. And, some of them were, these making like 70% out of the best ones. But the worst one was negative 17%. So he was spending more money to do that cleaning than the customer was paying him. And there was a few like that. That was the worst one. There was, -4, and there was the 2%ers, and that's not enough margin. A business like that needed 40% to survive. And that business actually had suffered a loss. $180,000 loss the previous year. 9 months later, we'd swung it round to $160,000 profit. And the number one thing we focused on was margin.
It's a biggie.
Oh, by the way, too, we actually sacked about 40 customers as well. So out of that swing and that change, we actually we're now only servicing about 120 odd sites. So making more and doing less. Woo-hoo.
Good.
I think that's the point. I hear more and more of people actually, sacking their customers or clients if it's not a good match or not working out, or So I think that's interesting. I guess it is just naming those people that you do want to work with.
Yeah, I've done it many times. I mean, even the beginning of this year, I was sacking people. Because like for me, as I've said before, my number one thing is you've got to get a result if you're working with me. And I had a guy. Really nice guy, but he's not working. He's not doing anything, And I'm like, well, you're wasting your money. You're wasting my time. You're gone. You're not going to get a return on investment with me. So, we have a termination clause, 30 days written notice, and so that's I do the same thing. Practice what you preach. We have a saying in our organisation: we teach by applied knowledge. In other words, if we haven't done it, we can't teach it to you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a big thing for us. Big thing. You've got to walk the walk, man. You really do.
Awesome tips, Matt. I knew that you'd have a lively show having you on.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun. Is this it?
We're just about to the end. Yeah.
Oh shit! I could go another hour.
I know. It's cool. We have to get you back on again, I think.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I always ask this question of our guests.
Yeah.
What one piece of advice would you go back and give yourself at the beginning of your first business?
Yeah. When I sat down and wrote Profit Secrets Revealed, there was 3 people and I had in mind. There was myself as a 19-year-old, and there was actually 2 other ladies who I'd had a bit of involvement with mentoring their businesses a little bit as well. And I sat there and I thought, what do these 3 people, myself included, what did we need to know? And so that was so my piece of advice would be, buy a copy of Profit Secrets Revealed and read the damn thing. Ray, look, I talk about Ray, the mechanic, right? Now, 3 weeks ago, before he became a client of mine and joined the mastermind, Cashflow Mastermind group, he came bounding up to me at a function. I'd given him a copy about 6 months ago, and he saw me at this function, and he came bounding up to me, Matt, your book, it's like a Bible. I carry it with me everywhere. It's in my car, you know, and I was blown away. I was pretty embarrassed, to be perfectly honest, to hear that it was called a Bible. But, you know, and I thought about what scripture did he read in this thing? And what really resonated with him, once again, was the markup versus margin. No one had taught him that stuff, you know? And it was a big revelation to him, biblical speaking here, right? Yeah, look, margin. Look, to me, if you can learn one thing and take one thing away from this, and the information is in my book. If you still can't find it, Google it. Right? How do you work out your margin and start measuring it? Right? Really, 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 really important. To me, we talk about real estate in terms of location, location, location. I talk about business in terms of margin, margin, margin.
Yeah.
The same thing. This is the most valuable piece of real estate that you can occupy, is getting your pricing right. So the number one takeaway to that 19-year-old young fella who wanted to take on the world but really didn't know how, so he went and gave it a go anyway. I used to price things. I remember this, you know, I used to price things I didn't even know how to do. And we thought, well, if I win the job, then I'll figure out how to do it, right? All I needed to do was figure out how to price it first. So my research around that product of putting, I don't know, like vinyl on walls or something like that, something I'd never done before, how do you hang vinyl, it's a specialist technique, or hanging fabrics, those sorts of things. This is all commercial decoration, right? All I needed to do was find out how to price it first, and then find out how to do it. Pricing is so important. It really, really is. So if I was going back and talking to that young guy again, I'd be really drilling him on price. And the first layer of our businesses survive on profit, but they thrive on cash flow. Without cash flow, you're screwed. Absolutely screwed. Profit's like the lifeblood, right? It's if you cut yourself and you bleed, you're not going to die. Cash flow's like your heartbeat. If you have a heart attack, it's all over. If your cash flow dries up, it's all over, because you give business goodbye. All I want for you guys is just go out there and go get more cash flow. Focus on that. Build the profit into your cash flow as you go, and have fun with it. I just love you guys so much. It's awesome.
Thanks, Matt. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
You got inspired to go and learn your margin now, Liz?
Yeah. Buy the book.
Awesome.
Hey, one last thing I tell you, right? I've talked about the Cashflow Mastermind a little bit, right? If someone is interested in that, where
can they go?
Start? Yeah, not everyone can actually join that, right? I like to actually get to know whether or not know you, the individual, first, and know your business and get aligned with you first, right? So it actually starts with a 20-minute phone call, right? Where I'll just one-on-one just find out more about who you are, what you're at, what you're trying to achieve, and we'll figure out whether or not the mastermind's right for you. If it's not, look, that's fine too. At least I've been able to spend a bit of time with you and impart something of value to you anyhow, right? So in order to organise a 20-minute phone call with me to see if the Cashflow Mastermind group is right for you, just email me, matt@mybusinesspeople.co.nz.
Cool. Thank you. And I've just found your book on Amazon.
Yep.
So I'll just pop that up for people looking in here.
Cool.
For Profit.
I'll flick you a link, because I think you post this in the Facebook group, don't you, Fiona?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll flick you a link as well to a local website. It's a part of a sales funnel. It's like the end website, so I don't have a pretty URL for this, and it's part of a secure checkout anyway, so I couldn't really. So I'll send you the link so you can post it in the group and post it on the Facebook, on the YouTube channel as well. Awesome. And so that way, for local people, Australia, New Zealand, postage included, much cheaper to buy it through that portal rather than going on Amazon. But anyone outside of New Zealand, we don't have a postage, or outside of Australia, don't have a postage delivery, what do you call it, shipping thing set up on the form.
Shipping is included.
That's not. So go to Amazon, right?
Awesome.
Oh, bonus too. When you buy the book as well, automatically from that website, you automatically get enrolled into my VIP video series that goes with the book as well. So there's 4 short little videos where I go in a little bit more depth about some places where you can focus to grow your cash flow as well. And those would automatically get emailed out to you, and they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
They are. Matt's big on education, so they will be packed full of stuff as well. I don't know if I've watched those. I might have to go and have a look at them and get some more info.
Yeah, there's some brand new ones. If you've
cool.
seen the older ones, I got bored with them.
Redo it.
Putting me to sleep.
Well,
snoring, but so if they put me to sleep, they'll put you to sleep. So.
Brilliant, Matt. My takeaway today is to go and I've been looking at my product, my DIY office manual, and looking at how I'm going to do what my promotion strategies are. So I think definitely adding that extra value support back in is going to be, as you've nailed it really for me out of today, figuring out. So thank you for that. Just helping me along with figuring out my strategy for promotion. How about you, Liz? Is there anything you can think of you're going to implement from today?
Yeah, absolutely. And just about that, having that whole discussion about payment for clients from the beginning,
yes.
Not just at the end of the process kind of thing. So this is how it's going to work, and this is how payments can happen. Yeah, really good.
There was one other thing I actually wanted to say as well about increasing cash flow as well. And I had this thought right from before this call today. Where you can, if you can focus on attracting customers or specifically targeting customers who you can get onto some sort of recurring billing as well, that will just smash it out of the ballpark for you.
Cash flow, yeah.
Absolutely. Recurring billing. Think recurring billing, right? Yeah. Even in the tile business, we focused on some group home builders who GJ Gardeners, actually, the reason we focused on them, they didn't pay huge margin, right? But one of the things they did do for us was pay us every 7 days. They had a system where you put your invoice in, you'll be paid 7 days later. It was great. Yeah. So great system. But one of the reasons we targeted them, and we did 3 of their different franchises: West Auckland, Rodney, and North Shore, right? And they are the reason we targeted them was actually they are the biggest single builder of residential homes in New Zealand. And so, we were targeting recurring billing. That's all we were doing. And it's the same with the online world. You can, go out there. Yeah, exactly. Who can you focus on? Who can, one, pay you well, pay you on time, and pay you quickly, and pay you consistently.
Yeah.
Right? Every week, every month, year on year. It will really, it's a great stress reliever, having money flowing into your bank. It will relieve so much.
Very much so, very much so. Cool. So thank you very much, Matt, for your words of wisdom today. The next show I'm going to be doing solo. Liz is off tripping around the world, overseas this year, going to see family and friends and have a bit of a holiday in the UK, which is very exciting. And when she comes back, she's going to be focusing on growing her business, which is very exciting. And so I'm going to be doing a solo Business Made Easy show from 2 weeks' time. And in 2 weeks' time, Liz has connected me. I met with Richard Ellis, who is going to be talking about stress prevention at work. So Richard, like myself, has been through adrenal fatigue, and he's a personal trainer. So he's going to bring some perspective to us around stress prevention. And I know that a lot of us in business, things can get quite overwhelming at times, especially if you haven't got cash flow, Matt? So he's got some great ideas and things we can go into, and I'm sure I'll learn lots, as will the listeners, from Richard. So I want to say massive thank you to Matt for joining us today. I know you're a busy man, so it's great to have you on board, joining the Business Made Easy tribe. Liz, thank you for your loyalty and for your energy and for your focus and for your beautiful big smile that you brought to every show. I really appreciate who you are and what you do, and I'm so excited to watch you step out into the limelight for yourself and share what you're really great at, which is connecting and helping people grow. So thank you.
Very kind. It's been an awesome journey. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm going to stop the recording now, and we will see you on the next show.
Thanks, ladies.